بشكر حضراتكم جميعا والبانل القادم إن شاء الله بعنوان The AI Data Center Anatomy of the Beast. Moderator أو من يدير هذه الجلسة مستر محمد الغازي Chairman WB Engineers. البانelists أو السادة الحضور مستر جيمي سنيد MD Data Center WB. مستر حسن شاتلة Vice President Data Center شاكر Consultancy Group. Mr. Fuad Ibrahim, Senior Director, Infrastructure Planning, Khazna Data Center. Mr. Mohamed Abu Khadra, Head of Data Center, Bank مصر. وأخيراً Mr. حسام الدين عبد السلام أو عبد السالم, CEO ACES. فليتفضلوا.
Good afternoon again. Here is our second panel. Hope you will enjoy it. This panel will be a bit technical. We have an excellent team here. Design, operator, and owners of data centers. So we covered it all. So with that, because we're running short on time, I'm going to start right away. And my first question actually will be for the two design team we have here, Jamie and engineer Hassan. Same question. I'm going to start with Jamie since she's sitting here, and then I will pass to you to complete. So we talked on the first panel briefly about the PUE, right, and how important is it for the modern data center. So Jamie, I want you to talk to us more, explain to us what's the definition of PUE, why it's important, and how it's actually impacting the data center performance.
Sure. It was talked about a little bit earlier on your first panel, but PUE is basically a relationship between how much power you're putting into your IT infrastructure as it relates to the overall power of a facility. So the closer to one that gets unity is what our clients want. The less amount of power we can put in all the ancillary equipment, the lighting, the HVAC, the better. So a PUE of 1.1 to 1.2 is what we see in a lot of the super efficient data centers, 1.3 to 1.6 kind of on the average. And to put it in perspective, when this thing started in 2006, we were at 2.5. So things have definitely improved.
So it improved dramatically.
Dramatically.
Right. Okay. Engineer Hassan?
Thank you very much. Actually, the PUE, it's appeared in 2007, published by the Green Grid book. And from 2008 until 2022, where we have the PUE from 2.5, and alhamdulillah, for 2022 to the 1.5. And actually, today, we hear about the PUE reached to 1.06. And I hope to live to hear for 1, inshallah. And actually, the PUE is a relation between the total facility amount of energy and IT energy. The facility amount of energy, it's from the IT load for the switches, server, network, and the cooling infrastructure for the chiller, pumps, computer room air handling unit, computer room air conditioning, fans, for the lighting losses of the data center, miscellaneous lighting, for the losses of UPS through the charge and discharge, and for the, as you say, so for the PUE, it will be cost saving, a lot of cost saving for the capital and initial cost.
So he's Mr. Ahmed Adil from Financial ISYS. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Right. Thank you, Hassan. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to turn to Fuad, and I have a question. Two questions, right? And then, right after each other. The first one is I would like to hear from you as one of the largest developers of data center in the MEA region, based in Emirates. What is your plan? What is Khazna plan for the Middle East and Africa?
Thank you, Mohamed. Khazna data centers, we design, build, and operate data centers. So we are growing dramatically in the region. I know very well that in UAE we are growing more and more, but that didn't end the plan. We are coming based on, in Africa, in Europe, and everywhere, we're going to be growing more and more based on the need of the data centers and how things are changing dramatically. When you are specialized in data centers, that makes it in a totally different era. So you grow, you learn from your design, from the implementation, and that takes you to the area where even in selecting the locations and the sites that you're going to grow in, there's a lot of factors. Data centers, I will use the word of the beast that was mentioned, okay?
Yeah.
But still, there is an area to be sustainable. And that's one of the factors that you need to look at when you're referring that where are we growing and what the plans. That's one of the main factors that we're looking at, where to grow based on the infrastructure availability. And don't let us forget that here in Egypt, with the growth of this infrastructure and how things are moving, that's really starting to grab all the eyes towards it. The infrastructure can be power, can be water, can be roads, and connectivity. That's the areas that we are targeting as Khazna. So we're growing a lot and we're going to be everywhere. Yeah.
Great. And then the second question, which is, and I'm going to compare it to the US, and Jamie can add to that too. We don't really see lots of requirements for tier 4 data centers in the US. The main players, even if it's a 50 megawatt data center, they depend heavily on their disaster recovery. They depend heavily on distributing, the loads between several data centers. In the region here, we hear a lot about, the tier 4 data center versus tier 3. And the question to you is, do you really see validity of that? And then from a pricing point of view, cost point of view, does this really cover what's needed if you're doing a tier 4 versus tier 3?
Thank you very much. That's a very important point to look at. Again, maybe I'll be referring that being specialized in data centers, you build the data center based on the need. Okay, you don't base your design or what you build based on standards only. There's a lot of things and there's a lot of factors that contributes in this. We know very well that a lot of initial data centers were built based on a tiering of tier 4 or whatever. However, what is needed in the infrastructure to meet the application that's going to be in this data center? We've been talking about AI, and AI, a lot of it, and everybody saying base, power, everything. But which AI you are developing, which AI you are hosting? Is it the learning one or is it the production one? To what level of redundancy and resilience you want? You can have different redundancy levels within the same data center that you're building.
Right.
It's not a must that to just go for a certification, and of course with all due respect to the IT team, but which is always, referring to the tiering and availability. But sometimes you go beyond what's needed in a certain area based on the application. So it's not a must that I build a high cost data center to say that I'm certified with an XYZ, or I'll build something that can accommodate and be more reliable to meet the application requirement. That's one of the most important thing, and always when we discuss with in detailed design, we go into this bits and pieces to make sure that we don't over design our things, or
because it definitely it impact the cost and it impact the operation cost
definitely.
too. So it's pretty much a tailored design based on what the customers or the tenants need.
And it's also another thing. It's like when you're specialized in that, you start to have in Khazna, we have our own standard design.
Right.
That's having the flexibility. In my infrastructure, I can accommodate tenants from hyperscalers with different requirements, and we know that very well. They are not all the same. There's a lot of things that you look at that maybe we always refer power, cooling, but there's a lot of other factors that we need to look at. The building height, the corridors, the loading in your white space as a weight of this cabinet.
Yeah,
there's
many
a lot
factors,
of things to be looked at.
many things are involved. Great, thank you very much. That really covered it. Mohamed, you are running a unique, actually, data center because you're not like Khazna, for example. It's open for tenants. You're running your own data center for Bank Masr, and based on that, actually, two things that I wanted to ask you. The first one is, how do you foresee AI impacting your brand new data centers that you're building? You're building one and you're building a disaster recovery. So if you want to give us an idea about it, and then tell us how you foresee the artificial intelligence impacting your future data center.
Okay, thank you, Mohamed. First of all, you are meaning the operation of the data center itself. So it started from the design to get the best practice and to be applied on the ground in the data center. Sometimes people see that when I got tier 3 or tier 4 certificate from Uptime or whatever, from TIA or whatever, I reached the maximum. But we believe to go to for the best operation in the data center, you can't. You have to touch the pain of the operation.
Right.
So you may exceed the certificate from Uptime, from redundancy, from the segregation. For example, if we are talking about tier 3, it is accepted to get the 2 UBSs in the same room.
Yeah.
So the more benefits to segregate the 2 UBSs, even if you are compliant with the tier 3 data center. The second thing, you have to make a good document, something like SOP, standards operating procedures, exactly, to how to manage the data center with a perfect way, and the scope of work of each engineer inside the data center and its role. And if you faced any accident, how can you deal with this accident with a relaxed mode? Don't panic. You have a manual to take the necessary action for that. Regarding to the AI in the banking sector and financial fintech, it is very important. As you know, the AI concentrate on the infusion. So we have to seize this infusion to make a database about your customers, their modes, the purchasing behavior, to make sure to address how can you deal with them, to offer products, to offer installment plan, and you have to sense the market. Your customer like the online purchasing or go to the malls or whatever.
Right.
So it is very important.
So you foresee that the AI will play a role in the very near future, and you can actually implement that at your new data center.
Yes, definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
Great.
And from the other side, to manage the data center.
Right.
The AI, very important for optimization and the predictive for maintenance or for to improve the performance of the data center itself.
Right, right. Yeah, and I think it's very important. One of the most important apps actually is how to use AI on the MOP, the method of procedures, before you run a method of procedures, pretty much to test, you know, a circuit breaker or a UPS or a PDU, and you follow the steps. And if you run an AI program, to just make sure that you're not doing step 3 before step 2, and then you can cause issues.
Exactly.
I agree with you. Thank you. All right, Ahmed, I would like actually to ask you the same question about the AI and the impact on, as Mohamed said, on the new data center applications. How to build a data center that will improve the efficiency and reduce any risk at the data center of outage, of things like that.
Hello, thank you for your question. Actually, I want to speak about the AI and the center from some different perspective that related mainly to the equipment in the data center itself, okay? And I'm talking mainly about the storage, okay? Storage part. As we know, the AI systems or the applications that based on AI needs to process data, okay, and a very massive volume of data, okay. So we have to choose or provide a suitable media to keep this data, okay. And to process the AI system to process the data and provide a good decision, it needs to process
faster and
data
better
from many sources.
Yeah.
Okay. It's expected or estimated that the world generate data about 3 million terabytes per day currently. And the application that used or based on AI needs speed of the storage to process in real time, to provide the decision in the time, in the real time. For the AI systems or the storage, we provide many capabilities. We are talking about two different AI here. AI in the system itself. The AI in the system can do the storage optimization or system optimization by analyzing the data. And the other side, we are talking about the application for the AI, like in the systems or financials or healthcare.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Jamie, back to you on a totally different topic, but I think it's a very important topic, and it's actually just happening in the US and the UK also, which is the nuclear reactors for data center, the small ones that can be pretty much running a data center on its own. So I want you to, I know that you are deeply involved in this, and I want you to talk to us about it.
Yeah. So as we've heard many times, power is at a premium everywhere we go. The U.S. is no different. We're having a hard time getting power to where we need it. So at the same time, we want to generate power, but it would be nice to make that renewable energy, right? So solar can do so much, wind can do so much, but we are working with several companies in the U.S. that develop small modular reactors. So some of our clients, while they're not putting those in today, we are planning for that in the future because I think even in the U.S. we're starting to see a turn on the fact that this is going to be easier to get approved. That's the biggest problem right now is how do you push it through regulations and get them installed. But it's a very exciting thing for me. So we see this quite a bit. We present on this quite a bit around the U.S. and it's I think it's the future and it will solve a lot of the problems we have from a power capacity and delivery and also a sustainable world to get back because nuclear engineering is nuclear power, is the most sustainable. It's zero carbon. It's nearly ideal energy. It does have the safety concerns we all are aware of, but these small reactors are a lot different than these massive reactors we see. And I know there's a reactor being built on the North Shore here, a huge one, and we all know that cost overruns are astronomical. So how do we defeat that is what we're struggling with now. How do we make this at scale? And so I do think there's a big future in that.
Great. What do you think the right size for it?
I think we're seeing people looking at 20 to 50 megawatts. So it's going to be, what we think will happen in the U.S. is big companies, and I think it can happen here too, is Google and Microsoft and these guys, they tend to cluster. Yeah. So they'll come together and they'll come to some sort of agreement to build one of these reactors. They're not going to own and operate that. There's companies there that do this as like a service level agreement, and I think that's what we'll see.
Hassan, please. Yeah.
I think Google is agreement with 6 nuclear power station. Its total consumption 500 megawatt. Yeah. I think so. It's about 800 megawatt per one. And some company now it's going to the hydrogen station.
Great. Yeah. Thank you very much.
We were talking, and you guys have, a lot of people have probably heard it, but Microsoft in the U.S. actually is re-energizing a big reactor at 3 Mile Island in Pennsylvania. So it's going to be like 350 megawatts just for them, just for Microsoft's use.
Nice. Great. So that will take us to the cooling systems and how the cooling system is improving. How are we going to see it in the next 5 years? And Hassan, please, if you take the lead on that.
Actually, we have a big gap between the today and it's coming for 4 years. I think with all the company, you have to change immediately. So the AI, it's far away, and the cooling is still not moving fast. Now we have to go to the direct liquid cooling, because as you said before many times, the racks now average power consumption between 10 to 15, and for coming 2-3 years, I will watch to the from 40 kilowatt to 100 kilowatt. So we have to follow the new generation from the cooling for the immersion, for the direct liquid cooling to chip.
Great. Jamie, you want to?
I mean, yeah, I agree with that. Liquid cooling is where we're headed. We've been talking about it for years. Immersion cooling, which I think had a big jump there for a while. We're seeing a step back in the U.S., I think, because still people don't understand it or trust it. But liquid to the chip, definitely. We've got clients now that are 260 to 300 kW a rack, which blows my mind to think of numbers like that. So a 15 megawatt data center now is about 40 racks. So, we've got to figure out how to cool that, and it is typically liquid. That's the only solution, really.
And well, Ed, definitely, I wanted to refer to you on that and see your plans also on the AC.
I totally agree. When I see it, when I was hearing now what's going on, when we were talking about PUE, SMRs, cooling. So it's like, to be honest, working in a harsh environment, which is in the Gulf region, and everybody was complaining about that, you're not going to achieve PUE's technologies again. If you're designing it and you're building it and you are operating it, so you are learning and making things. And Khazna, the history of cooling, air-cooled chillers, water-cooled chillers, and everybody's referring to PUE, but you need to look at WUE also. Yeah. And it's not only the WUE, it's what type of water you're using for your cooling.
Correct.
So, in Khazna, when we thought of it, it's like we went to adiabatic free cooling chillers, where we are using treated sewage water, TSEs. It's different, and that takes us, Mohamed, back again to the point of infrastructure. So SMRs, we're talking about the capacity. I agree with Jim. It's like now on ground, we are building 100 megawatt single building of liquid to liquid cooling, 150 kilowatt per cabinet. That's happening on ground right now. It's not anymore the future. This is what we are building. By the way, I left the project to come to attend here, and then I need to go back, otherwise it's going to be an issue. So what I meant is things are changing. Cooling technologies, you need to be ready. Yes. You need to be ready ahead of time. That's how your facility is enabled for future. When you plan things, you achieve PUEs, you achieve WUEs. You can accommodate changes with a little bit of modification to your infrastructure, not refolding it.
Great, that's great. And yeah, please, Mohamed.
I need to take it from another perspective, from the heat dissipation. We have a huge heat dissipated from the 100 megawatt data center. So we have to think about the neighbors to use this amount of heat to be productive, to be used or reused again, especially to avoid the greenhouse, to avoid many issues affected by that much heat. So I think this is very important to select the neighbor to use this much energy of heat.
Great. Great. And I'll stay with you and continue with a question, a very local one, because you are building a new data center now in Egypt. And I wanted to know how easy or how difficult is it? Like, is Egypt ready from a capability point of view? From a utilities, power, not just that, but the talent, engineering, equipment, vendors, the whole ecosystem of a data center. So I want you to talk a little bit about the capabilities and your journey to build a new data center.
Okay. It is a political question. Okay, by the way, yes, we are embarking to build a new data center, but on a small scale. But your question about the mega data center, something else. If we are talking about mega data center in Egypt, we have to have a helicopter view to see or to address all dimensions. From power, as you know, we have to go to at least to small modular nuclear reactors, for example. From cooling, we should consider the neighbor, as I said, from last minutes. From fiber cables, as you know, AT&T have a deal with the biggest name of fiber by $1 billion to invest in fiber connectivity, because you are talking about massive of traffic in the mega data center. We have to consider the generator sets. You will have a big farm of generator sets. So if we think about the traditional generators by diesel, So you will face a big problem with CO2 emission. So we have to address or study the natural gas fields in Egypt and make a good analysis how to support such huge of generators to prevent the CO2 emission. You have to talk about a farm as well for the batteries. You will go to lithium ion with a risk of fire and explosion, or you have to study the solid state sodium. It's very important to study all of these things. So, as you know, Egypt in a prime and strategic location at the middle between Europe, Africa, and Middle East. Yani, we need to be a hub, a big hub for all these countries.
Right, right. I agree with you. And the matter of fact, on the presentation that Patrick did, you can see the amount of traffic that we are moving from Africa to Europe and from the Middle East to Europe, but it's just a pass-through traffic. Nothing is processed in this region. Even, you look at the map, and this is, statistics that actually, to me, looking at it, I was surprised. Like, you see South Africa and the number of connectivities between South Africa and other countries, and then, a big circle around Egypt, but it's pretty much a traffic that it's, moving through the Red Sea corridor to the Mediterranean. So, yeah, I fully agree with you. Hassan, اتفضل.
Actually, Mohamed, we have all the electricity demand in Egypt. It's about 52 giga, and the planning to the to 2030 to the more than 70 giga, and the 20 giga will be added from the cleaning energy. And we have a very good pipe network for the gas and the availability of the water. So I think for the electromechanical point of view, the infrastructure more than ready. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you. Fouad, back to you. And it's a question about connectivity. And I wanted to ask you, is connectivity an issue in the Middle East? For example, in the US, you can have multiple entrants to the facility coming from different vendors. Prices are very low because of the competition. How do you see that in the US? I mean, in the region here?
Okay. Again, as we said, Mohamed, at the beginning, it's not only the power and the water and as an infrastructure, you still have the fiber. We still need to agree that to be a neutral data center, you need to have diversity, and that's very important. That did not happen just like today or yesterday. It was based on planning and discussing with authorities and the telecom operators. Having this available within the existing, in UAE, when this was developed and having redundancy and having it from different routes, this came also with a lot of talking and discussions ahead of time and planning it. That's available there, and that's one of the important things that we look at in site selection.
Right.
So in Egypt, I feel that there is a good infrastructure. Things are moving towards the proper channel. You can still have a single operator, but you can have the diversity from different places, and that's available. It is a route that needs to be agreed and to be planned properly. Still, it's a challenge, and I'm saying it's part of your site selection and how you make sure that you meet all the requirements. Coming back to the point of, I just want to add a point to the comment of how to be enabled. There is always, in your planning, a short term and a long term. I cannot get rid of generators today, just now. But how about having your generators enabled with a more sustainable fuel, an HVO? So I have all my generators now that are installed having this capability. So as soon as I have it, I'm going towards the short-term plan. The second long-term plan is even avoid having this backup. Availability and resilience in the infrastructure from power, from authorities. That's one of the important things. How you plan it, how you talk to authorities, how you make studies to make sure that I could get the redundancy from the authority without needing my full backup. I could have a catcher. I could have something that just for a certain short period of time. But it's always a very valid point what you're referring to, that, but short plans and long-term plans, that's a must when you're building data centers and designing it. Thank you.
Thank you for it. And Jamie, back to you is one question. And again, I'm going to turn to the audience if they have questions to the panelists, and take this opportunity. We have an amazing panelist here. So Jamie, based on your experience in the US and dealing with Microsoft and Amazon and the major players, how do you see their appetite to actually coming to the region? I know Microsoft, they are huge in South Africa now. They build several sites. But how about others? Do you see that they are coming soon? They are talking about it?
Yeah, I think the big players, we know Microsoft has already talked about being here. Everybody will eventually want to be here because Africa is the youngest continent in the world. Its infrastructure is growing. Its connection, its desire for data is only going to grow. And from what Patrick was talking about earlier with the connectivity and all of that, yeah, they want to be here now. I'm convinced of that. It's just getting through the red tape that stops them from coming, I believe. That's the biggest thing.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the audience? No questions. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here, and I hope you enjoyed the panel. Thank you.